Love podcast, ain't no, this is the Politics Joe podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay!
Las Malvinas Argentinas.
Woo! Oh, you liked it this time.
Yeah, we can edit. I did one intro, pro that one intro anti, so we can swap it out depending on.
Can't make your mind up.
Mood swings. No. It's a live issue. It should be dominating the political headlines, whether or not there's going to be a Falklands War Part 2 come February.
The sequel.
Yes, the second Falklands War.
As a disciple of Milei,
Yeah.
what is your position on the Falklands?
I think we should respect the wishes of the Falklanders who voted overwhelmingly to remain British.
That's interesting because obviously he has to do the thing that every Argentine premier does and say that the Falklands are Argentine. But he's actually also done the quite unpopular thing of saying we have to respect the wishes of the islanders, and seeing as they want to be British, maybe we won't actually go to war.
He also loves Thatcher, which is an interesting
It's
thing
quite
for an Argentine politician.
They believe her to be a war criminal
Yeah.
in Argentina because of the sinking of the Belgrano. So
Who's like our equivalent?
Probably Thatcher.
Ava, are you a Milei head, a fan?
Yeah, of Big Papi.
Papacito, Avi. Papacito, hey, papi.
It's not.
He's there. I'm talking to him. Hey, papi.
But he's here watching the podcast, and we're not interviewing him. He's just a big
He's
fan.
running production.
Do you think he'd do it? Do you think he'd come on and do the podcast?
No, because he. What did he say? You did the translation.
Al sordo de la mierda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No puedes la milímetros.
Un millimetro.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Don't get you quoted it on the podcast.
I didn't.
The last episode.
Yeah, well, no, we didn't quote it.
Sorry, I meant Ava.
Oh, we played it out, yeah.
Did you not translate it?
Yeah, I did, and then I cut Ed off from, like, saying something that he shouldn't.
That is not remotely true.
You were dying to say that word.
No, I wasn't.
Ed is absolutely desperate. Every single record before we start recording, I have to say, Ed, you can't say the N word. You can't say the R word. You can't say the F word.
I have a list. This one.
Words
this,
Ed can't say.
Yeah.
There's a big like
There's a
cue
guy with
card
cue
over
cards
there.
over there.
I go to say, and they're like,
But famously,
on the record, that's not true. Just for the record, to prevent any bad faith takes.
I would describe this as gaslighting.
Yeah.
That's what someone described Ava's behaviour towards me as.
Yeah, but that was quite self-aware gaslighting.
Oh, it's okay then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I know I'm doing it. So,
Yeah.
so it excuses it. Oh, it's intentional.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, if you feel like that, that's
The golden boy, how are you?
Confused, how are you?
You're not confused. You're very well. I'll tell you that right now. And Ava and I are fantastic. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm good, Ava.
you never ask, Ed. You never ask.
Just would it kill you to just ask Ava how she is every now and then?
So, we're not breaking with the format of the intro.
No.
X number of episodes in.
But also, we're going to break you.
I'm just going to cry by the end of the episode.
Tears.
Yeah,
are you okay?
yes, thank you.
Good.
Are you? Ava, how are you?
Oh. Yeah. No, I'm good. Thank you for asking, Ed. Yeah, thanks.
Only 80 episodes in.
Yeah.
Ava Santina,
80
how are you?
episodes.
Ollie, you always ask.
I do ask,
Yeah, yeah.
because
No,
I care.
It's very
Yeah.
try hard. It's extremely pick me.
Pick me.
Yeah.
The golden boy and the capital J journalist here
Yes.
to do your budget reaction.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We've got a jam-packed episode.
Huge.
We've got the autumn statement. We've got PMQs. And we're going to fucking top it all off with some sphere chat.
Introduce it correctly. Journalist schooled by councillor over sphere.
Ava's interview with the councillor who was part of the campaign to block the sphere in London. Are you still pro-sphere after your conversation with them?
I may have been wrong.
They actually made some very valid points.
He opened his mouth and I went, oh, God, I've got this so wrong.
Cool.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't lead with the sphere. I feel
No.
like we should probably lead with the autumn statement.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Are we not doing PMQs?
I think we go autumn statement PMQs.
Yeah.
Not chronological order, but
No.
I would say news order.
Yeah, that's the running order.
Cool. Glad we've decided that.
Absolutely.
Maybe you think it's the running order.
Ava knows what the running order is.
Okay.
You don't.
I'm going to sit in silence and listen. I'm going to just become an audience member for this episode
That would be welcome.
because I can't fucking read.
You really wanted to get in a joke about someone not being able to read today.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Why? Who do you think can't read?
I did like. This is a peek behind the scenes for the audience. We were joking about. So Lindsay Hoyle told off an MP during Rachel Reeves' response to the Autumn Statement, and just he did the thing like, go and have a cup of tea if you prefer to not. So we're kind of just joking about being like boisterous Lancashireman, reminiscent of Guantanamo by threatening to scold MP with boiling water and leaves. And so I wrote up an opening like reminiscent of the thing. I don't think you were here for it, but it was when Ollie and I did the 70s news broadcaster thing. We thought we'd do that as if we were like some like right-wing truth podcast, like welcome to Politics Truth, featuring us, like that kind of tone. And I wrote it up, and one of the lines was about someone said that their constituents would not be interested in the budget because they can't read. So that is the backstory to that joke.
The outcome of that conversation was I said, I don't think that will work, so let's not do that, but thank you, Ed. So what we've settled on instead is Ed relaying what the concept was, but us not actually doing it.
Do you think you should do it? We can cut it if it doesn't work.
No, I think, well, if you send me £10 on PayPal, I'll forward it to you.
You want me to
Not
pay
you, not them.
Oh, schmucks!
Yeah, I'm soft launching a Patreon
I
for
think
my
you
sketches.
I think you should. I think you should do sketches on OnlyFans.
On OnlyFans?
Yeah.
What, like with my dick?
No.
Why would it be OnlyFans and not Patreon?
OnlyFans have been doing this huge PR push, and
Yeah,
I know
and
because they send us the PRs,
And
where
it's
they're
not
like,
working.
you know, promote your music on OnlyFans, put your comedy on OnlyFans, and
I don't get that at all.
they're desperate. They're desperate to like rebrand themselves as like the home of paid content rather than just
They've really
porn.
They've really lost that battle.
Did
I
you-
think.
That's so woke, isn't it?
Did
Like,
did you see that porn star in the States outing Santos, who he'd paid like more than $400,000 to her OnlyFans,
Did you see
and she was like, I rated his dick.
every OnlyFans star in the US did that?
Oh, they all did.
Like
it.
it's true.
not-
It's true that George Santos did pay for an OnlyFans, but as like every OnlyFans girl was like, "It's mine." As,
Oh,
like,
it became a meme.
Yeah, but it was a meme and like good marketing. Did you subscribe to hers after that?
100%. Well, can you
Sorry,
subscribe?
the company
Can you
bit.
subscribe if you're already subscribed? What's that
I didn't
called?
know she did that.
What's that called? Top lines, Ava Santina. Top lines on the autumn statement. What's the vibe?
well, if you're going to buy a house, you need to buy it in the next year. You need to buy it in 2025. Price is going down, and then after that, it's right back up again. That's the OBR report. Sorry, that's the thing that stuck into my head. It means we've got 18 months now to buy, and then after that, don't bother. Top line is national insurance.
2%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hot if you're earning over £50,000.
Does it then I think was £8 a month?
So it's about, they reckon average, what was it, about £300 it's going to save you?
Yeah, something like that.
Most people about £150 a year.
So, you know, that's about a pint, isn't it?
Yeah. They're going to bring in also, they're going to pull in the national insurance that's going to come out that's going to come into effect in January.
Which is revealing because?
May election.
That's what everyone's saying.
That's what everyone's saying.
Because typically it would be the start of the next financial year, correct? Rather than January. But January gives it enough time to kick in for May. I would just like to do a little bit of housekeeping, if I may. Everyone's saying tax cuts. That's what they're all saying. And I think that is a lie. And let me tell you for why. And I also rhyme. The cuts that he's announced amount to about £10 billion, roughly. However, because of the freezing of the tax thresholds that this government has implemented, these cuts still don't. The net of it is still an increase in tax. Like taxes are way higher now than they were in 2019. So to suggest that like this budget is tax cuts, I think is dishonest.
You're focusing on the wrong bit, though.
Oh, am I?
You're
Tell me.
focusing on the facts. and
And
Sorry,
not the vibe.
it's now my turn to be gaslit.
This is Jeremy Hunt channeling Ava.
yeah. So what they're saying is.
Sorry, so what should I have focused on? Sorry.
So,
Ava.
yeah, no, you're completely correct that the burden is up. Yeah, but
Tyson's
tax
forward it.
cuts. So why don't you just shut up and take your tax cuts?
Mm-hmm.
We're going into an election with tax cuts. He also correctly told us that there are now more police, teachers, nurses under this Conservative government. And if you think anything differently, then you're obviously looking at the figures and not thinking with your head.
You're not supposed to know how to read.
No.
It's, it's the whole 2 + 2 = 5 stuff, right? It's the fact that stagnation. You idiot. It's that, stagnation equals stability. It's that, inflation is falling, and when it was rising, obviously that had absolutely nothing to do with the government, but now that it's falling, it has absolutely everything to do with the government and is entirely our responsibility. It's that we're cutting taxes, and that equates to responsible fiscal management, even though it's going to make it far harder to balance the books in the next parliament. And because the fact that some of the budgets for the unprotected officers of state are going to stay sort of in real cash terms, it amounts to something like a £16 billion cut for some of these budgets from between now and I think 27, 28. And it's just the double think, the double speak, which is so pervasive that they say this is fiscal responsibility, but it's kind of like in complete denial of the fact that public services are already in crisis. That we've got 10 billion to spend, so we're going to spend it on tax cuts rather than, let's say, I don't know, pick a public service.
You're talking about fuel duty there, right? The fuel duty increase.
I think also as well, what do we got? Alcohol duty freeze as well.
Well, but that's it. The fuel duty. If they don't implement it, and they haven't implemented it yet, but if they don't implement it, that means all of the headroom that they've projected will be reduced by 43%. So, it's they're really thinking with their feet
and not their head.
No, we've told you, don't do that, Ed.
So they're following their own advice, actually.
I don't think the Conservative Party is capable of interpreting the economy in any way outside of their dogma, which is that the British state is too big, and the problems, the economic malaise, is always because of the excesses of the state, and therefore we have to reduce the state. Like Sunak believes the state should not get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that is in complete denial of the fact that the British state does less than it did in 2010.
Yep.
Yeah. But they keep making the state bigger, right?
Yeah.
So while telling you we'd like a smaller state, the state is too big, they make the state bigger?
I also thought one of the big takeaways was fall in household incomes from the OBR. I thought that was pretty worrying. 3.5%.
Yeah, you're going to be worse off than you were pre-pandemic.
Is the I've got it written.
Shit.
Fuck! I was not rich pre-pandemic.
I was living in a warehouse.
That warehouse is not going to have a roof. They're going to make you move back in.
There's actually not a roof on that warehouse anymore.
Oh no.
A couple of years after I moved out, it got drug busted.
So they blew up.
Wasn't in my warehouse. It wasn't in my bit. It was like all along the top of it. Someone else owned the top of the warehouses.
Gosh.
Big weed farm.
Oh no.
Which made so much sense, like when they said it, because that warehouse was always so hot. And it was like, why is it so hot in here? There's no heating on. There's loads of fucking lamps upstairs heating that.
Fucking grow up.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3.5% fall in household incomes between the last election and the next, which is the largest since ONS records began in the 1950s.
And that's... People aren't stupid as well, though, are they? As in, that's how they'll vote. There's something about young voters and how they perceive Starmer's handling of Israel and Palestine. That even though young people are proportionally more likely to be more favourable towards Palestine and to back a ceasefire, it has no effect on whether or not they're going to vote Labour, almost, because how they're voting is in their pockets. So you have the young people who, like Dino, who has a new build, lets his couch, his car, he lets everything, that's going to become more expensive, and he wants change. So regardless of how people are going to be, regardless of the activist left potentially deserting the Labour Party, you have the influx of normies, I guess, who are more affected by the money in their pocket than anything else.
I think that the statement poses an interesting question for Labour, because they either oppose it, in which case they play right into the Conservatives' hands of being able to say, profligate spending 28. You could tell already, right, from this announcement, the 28 billion figure on the environment. Green transition is going to be huge for the Conservatives. They plan to hammering that. So if Labour oppose it in strong terms, it will be classic Labour, totally profligate, going to spend all your money. If they don't do that and they sort of agree either in parts or in full, they're binding themselves into incredibly strict fiscal rules that basically mean they won't be able to do anything when they're in power. So it's actually quite a it poses an interesting conundrum for the Labour Party.
It's also they're setting a lot of traps for the Labour Party, right? So the Chancellor's headroom is about, I actually had it written down, about £13 billion headroom, right? Normally a Chancellor would have about £30 billion worth of headroom. If we follow the premise that they are going into a May election, that means that the potential incoming Labour government has absolutely no headroom spending-wise. Also, most of that headroom, nearly half of it, is reliant on introducing the fuel duty, which Labour would then have to introduce. So, and if they don't, they've got this wonderful line, the Conservatives in opposition, of, you've got no headroom whatsoever. Traps.
Yeah, look, I think they're going to inherit a colossal mess. And how they handle that is going to be incredibly hard, right? Because there's this deep desire now within everyone in society for sort of an improvement in public services, an improvement in living standards. And if they're not able to deliver that, this is what I think I've said this before on the pod. That's I think Keir Starmer, he could win a huge majority, but actually have very little time to make the change that people desire, and that whilst he could be emboldened by a colossal parliamentary majority, that actually it's a very fickle majority and could fall away from him in the space of one parliamentary term.
Do you think that a tactic of saying, so the Conservatives in opposition say there is no headroom, you guys are cocking it up, could Labour just not be like, yeah, because of you guys? Like, yeah, look at the fucking, like, you guys were in government 2 months ago and have been for 13 years. Or do you think
they should say it exactly like that?
Well, they should. I don't know. People like authenticity, and it would be annoying.
How does Keir Starmer speak through his gritted teeth?
You guys were in opposition 3 months ago. I don't like being Prime Minister now.
It's quite unsettling, that.
Yeah.
But I think rage is an untapped tactic, maybe, for Labour.
They can get, the Conservatives are all over that rage, aren't they? Because they're still pulling up the "you left us with no money" note that was left after New Labour.
Yeah, but Greg Hand is gone now. Pour it
out. What have you done with him?
Well, he's not the chairman of the Conservative Party anymore.
Where is he? He's under here.
In his constituency in West London, weeping into the note. But I think that tactic will be quite embarrassing. Public Greg Hand's flip-flop note tactic. Well, it didn't work, hasn't worked in by-elections and so on. So maybe I think they might retire that gimmick.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Potentially, if hypothetically, if they are setting traps for the next government, if that's how they've used their autumn statement to just set a whole load of traps, and you could prove that, should they not go to prison? Not to sound like a real centrist, but it's really bad. It's like, guys,
salting the earth.
Guys, I get it. I get the personal vendetta, but also, what the fuck?
Yeah. They should go to prison.
Yeah, it's like, we're going to make sure the house prices crash.
That is a cultured take.
Absolutely.
I tell you.
Prison.
Ed in 2016 being like, it is disgusting that Donald Trump has said Hillary Clinton should be locked up. Ed in 2023, they should be in prison. My political opponents should be in prison. Melee.
Absolutely. Everyone should be in prison, bar me. You get to go out when I choose, and that will be never.
We saw an XL bully earlier.
Oh yeah, you said.
It was walking a man.
Ava shouted at him, "Who's walking who?"
No, I didn't.
No, but she should have done.
They are.
It was
They're big dogs.
It was a juvenile.
I didn't want to walk past it. I wanted to go the other way.
It was a juvenile. It was an adolescent XL bully, and it was yanking this bloke all over the place. Like, he could not control it.
was moving like a
was
puma.
It a juvenile?
A puma.
Yeah.
A puma.
How do you say it?
Puma.
I'd say puma as well.
I love that you say puma though. That is fucking sick.
It was a jaguar.
A jaguar. Puma.
Puma, no?
Puma.
Yeah. No, it could be puma, but you said puma.
Puma. It is Puma.
It's a pummie.
Is that in Espanol?
I'll get my mum on the phone
It's
right now.
Puma.
Find anyone from South London and ask them how they say it. They're not.
In fairness, how often does it come up?
Yeah, well, that's why it hasn't made the transition to my new voice. I probably haven't said it in like 10 years. No, I'm giving it away.
See your juvenile XL bully.
Yeah.
Was it just a different class of size of American bully rather than a juvenile? Because an XL bully is just like the biggest of the breed that is American bullies.
You know how a puppy is kind of quite, its movement is quite awkward, and also they seem like bizarrely flexible.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of like a bit all over the place because they're not.
Mm.
Is that in utero? Is that what?
No, you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to. When like something is so enraptured, like its cartilage is all fucking fused together. It's muscular. It's bound. It's tight. It knows its locomotion is done. It's been doing it thousands of times. It knows how it's going to move. Whereas like a juvenile puppy is kind of like, you know, swinging the hips like a slalom.
It's not used to how big it is.
What that thang do, girl?
God.
Its shoulders were moving kind of like ships coming out of the sea. Like, it was incredible to watch this thing move. It was a
That's how
machine.
muscly it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
And it was, do you know what it looked like? It looked like Sisyphus with moving the rock.
Did it?
But what it was doing was moving the owner.
That's actually a very common reference point because we were all there as Sisyphus repeatedly rolled his stone up the hill. We all know what that looks
With
like.
a couple of pummers.
Sisyphus and his pummer train dragging that rock up the
It
hill.
was Sisyphus and pummers rolling the rock up the hill.
That's funny, isn't it? We're just going after each other for how they speak now, yeah?
Yeah.
We do
I
it
think
to
you-
him. We
you-
do it
yeah,
to
No,
him.
I know. I'm gaslighting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. That's
You
what,
do that quite a lot.
I forgot this was the gaslighting episode. Yeah.
I think every episode has been the gaslighting episode.
I've
in some
never
way.
taken the piss out of Ed, particularly the way he pronounces WHs at the beginning of words.
Yeah.
Never do that. It'd be deeply disrespectful.
I can just read.
Can you read?
Brag.
Read that right there.
No, I won't. I won't degrade myself.
A principled stand.
I'm not a performing monkey.
So the economic consensus is they need growth. They all need growth.
Yeah. One takeaway from it was, God, it was so impressive how he sliced and diced. You've got to hand it to him. Those figures were not good that he was reading out, but he made it sound positive. It's like, you don't need to hand him fucking anything. That is senior level gaslighting. Economy, bad. Fault, ours.
Yeah. Hand him a fucking P45. That's it. That's anything you got to hand to him.
What did you make of when he said he was talking about benefits claimants having the moral? It was like a moral duty to work. Which was
So 2004.
quite Victorian, quite workhousey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Being like it's like the idle poor, the deserving poor and the idle poor.
You know that like old meme format that was like things that would kill a Victorian child or things that would put a Victorian child into a coma?
Jeremy Hunt.
Yeah, well, I would say the limited amount of headroom that he's left himself would put a Victorian child into a coma.
So yeah, basically, they're gonna, if you can't find work, they're gonna put you on compulsory work placement, and if you decline that work placement, you will have your benefits cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems fair.
Does it?
No,
I think it seems cruel.
obviously
I think
not.
it seems cruel, personally.
That's why you're wrong, Ed. Again.
You're not listening to the Chancellor.
Yeah, really evil, isn't it?
Mm.
Nice, good old fashioned. But then again, another trap for the Labour Party, because they'll have to come in and say things like, I don't think we should take disabled people's welfare away from them. I think we should probably give them the benefit of the doubt and their doctor's advice that they're too sick to work.
Yeah.
And the Conservatives will go, oh, they love giving away money.
I'll tell you what was good though. He did uprate benefits in line with the September inflation figures rather than the October ones, which was being touted as a possibility.
But they had been stagnating for a very long period of time.
True.
And you could also make an argument that they caused the inflation, right? So people have been suffering for about a year now. And then to then turn around and hand it to them like, we're going to help you despite inflation, the inflation that we caused, is actually a bit redundant.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Anything?
Is there anything that he could have said that you think could win the Conservatives in the next election?
Build 1 million small holdings.
Okay, for the constituency of not Ollie Dugmore.
Build 1 million new homes.
Okay, new home.
Sorry. 5 million new homes, 1 million of which are small holdings.
Yeah.
I think I would actually lose. I think that people are like, what the fuck's this weird shit?
No,
Labour are promising to ban smallholders.
No, we're all going into like serfdom again. We're all going to like have our own. We're going to live subsistently, subsistent farming.
That's not it.
No, but that would be a really
That's
great
not
push for it, wouldn't it?
That's not
You're now
it.
going to farm your own vegetables because you can't afford to buy them.
You know how much you hate gardening?
Me?
More. No, as in like people. People
You?
do like gardening.
You hate gardening.
No. Well,
We know you hate gardening.
I don't have a garden, so what am I supposed to do
Well,
gardening?
if that doesn't prove anything,
That's
it's
your own fault.
Is it? For living in a flat with no living room in London?
well, that's your choice.
You're
isn't it?
always you're always telling us how much you want to do gardening.
That's not remotely true. I've never once expressed a desire to do gardening. In public or private.
Look, it actually really hurts me when you make these type of things up. And if you had any respect for me as a colleague, friend, or someone whose feelings are valid, you would think about that before you make these wild claims.
If anyone thinks this is an appropriate way for a line manager to speak to someone, please let me know.
If you reply yes, you can come to a live screening of the podcast.
If you reply yes, you get my job.
Yeah.
That could be our Patreon service, couldn't it? Like
You just
£5
get to
a
do my
month,
job.
Ollie gaslights you.
Yeah. You do Ed's job
People
for
would
it
pay
then.
me a lot of money for that.
Individual services.
Planning reform. That's what you do, number one.
Mhm.
Kill the planning system. Zonal planning
He
by
did
regulation.
do some,
By regulation, not consent. Overhaul completely.
but he said something about planning today.
Number two. 5 million homes, 1 million of which are small holdings. Number 3. See an infrastructure project. Completed infrastructure project. HS2 is going to fucking Orkney. The whole 9 yards.
That's so.
Reservoir.
Yep.
Want a reservoir? Build a fucking reservoir.
Okay.
The question is obviously, there's 3 ways of paying for things. Tax, borrow, make cuts.
hmm
I'll take either of the first 2.
I've got a 4th way to win an election. I've got another tactic. They can win the second Falklands War.
Someone's been reading my Twitter.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan.
You should have gaslit him and said, no, I read that on Unheard. I don't know what you're talking
No, I read that
about.
in my own brain.
Yeah.
But you can't read.
I can read my own thoughts. It's a complex series of glyphs.
Yeah, so so the argument goes, all of this analysis that we're doing, this pained analysis that we're doing, and by the way, we're going to have Torsten Bell in tomorrow, who'll do probably a slightly better job of explaining all of this than I'm currently doing. Our analysis is irrelevant because what happens in the next year in British politics is going to be dictated by the fact that Papacito Javi is going to fucking send his boys into Puerto Stanley.
Batalla.
Yeah. He's going to send his boys to Las Malvinas. And despite the fact that we have an incredibly decrepit military capacity, somehow they will either defend or reclaim the Falklands, upon which Rishi Sunak rides again. 3-term Prime Minister. Because you can draw the comparison, right? Britain,
No, go.
Britain in the grip of economic and political turmoil. Its Prime Minister floundering in the polls.
Weak.
But then, the junta wins the war. History changes. Instead of being a one-time Prime Minister, Thatcher rules for more than a decade. Rishi Sunak could be the same.
We are all going to be in the grips of Sunakism. Of just tech. Just tech. Everyone gets a Peloton and a hoodie. And that's it. And that's everything you get from the state.
And an AI friend.
And yeah, for like, lonely pensioners.
Did you know Elon said that in his interview with Rishi? Rishi was like, we're talking a lot about the fears because Elon, Rishi had said, so what's going to happen? And Elon was like, no one's going to have a job. He was like, AI will take everyone's job, and we're probably going to have to talk about universal basic income and like quite a high universal basic income because AI will deliver like unprecedented economic growth.
Rishi's like,
And Rishi's kind of sat there like, oh my fucking god.
Not that.
That sounds an awful lot like socialism, Elon. So he said, okay, well, how about we talk about the positive? And Elon goes, well, you'll probably have a friend. You'll probably have an AI friend.
Hate that.
I think he gave an example of someone's. Was it one of his kids? No, possibly. He was talking about a kid with learning difficulties, and he was saying that he struggles to make friends, and that AI would basically be able to do language analysis of things that he'd written either for school or posted online, and would therefore be able to deduce like his personality type, and then formulate a digital friend.
That's horrific.
It's quite
that is
dark.
like, so instead of having support networks and facilities and resources for kids with special needs to meet each other and socialise together, and resources, we are going to put them in front of a screen and say, well, we don't need to bother with this anymore.
Plug them into the Matrix, baby.
Fuck that. That's awful.
They could all, picture this, they could all be sat individually in the seats in the sphere,
Plugged in.
and they all wear these type of glasses, could be Google Glass, could be
Mhm.
anything, could be Snap, that when they look at the sphere, they see something different to the people around them, and the sphere is just like a giant friend.
They wouldn't need to be in the sphere for that.
No, but
To be fair.
I'm combining like the late capitalist materialist
Actually,
hellscape.
If the sphere became a massive resource centre for people with learning difficulties,
Yep.
I would be quite for it.
Cool.
If that was the contingency of it, I think that would change my mind to being pro-sphere.
Did you ever go to the Millennium Dome?
Fuck yeah.
You mean the O2?
No, I mean
No,
the
the
Millennium
Millennium
Dome.
Dome.
I only have been to the O2. I've never been to the Millennium Dome.
The Millennium Dome was what it was.
When it
before
had-
No, I know that. I
when
know
it had
that. I know that.
huge like walk through a human being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Do you remember the room when it was the hair and there was knits in it?
No.
That really has stuck with me.
I remember going through the heart.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What was your favourite part of the body?
Well. No, I'm not going to say I was like 7.
Listeners, Ollie just written down Fanny. That's so weird. BWBS.
Bubs.
Bubs.
Like the Welsh.
Boobs.
'Cause you know how they
Ollie
said
proving
coach.
that he can't write.
How did you read that? Ed, you can read!
Yes. I can read.
I actually mimed it to him.
That was obscene.
What is the mime for Bubs?
Whoa. That was a sensory experience, the Millennium Dome. It was meant, So you would have liked it, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
When did you first come down the road?
To London? Probably when I was like 8 or 9.
So that's past the millennium, isn't it? For you?
Yeah, I went on the London Eye. That was my big memory of that.
What did you think of it?
I'm sure I enjoyed it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it was fun. I haven't been on the London Eye since, but I'm sure it remains as thrilling an experience.
What would have to happen in like the course of your life that you end up proposing to your girlfriend on the Millennium on the London Eye?
I'd have to be hit in the head. I don't know. Actually, I'm not massively opposed to it.
Really?
It could be quite nice. As in, like, if you have a private pod, you could do it really nicely, I think.
It'd be quite a giveaway if you got a private pod, though, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, but I think do most people kind of not vaguely know when they're going to be proposed to?
You could really do quite a good gaslighting series by like,
What, you want me to gaslight my girlfriend
but entering
more than I already do?
Start as you mean to go on. Welcome to marriage.
just enter into loads of scenarios where like it would seem that you were about to propose and then act really confused.
Then never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might not do that, to be
No,
fair.
she's really nice.
Yeah.
I think women have a very good sense of whether or not they're about to be proposed to.
I think so. Yeah.
You can always tell by looking at the nails, can't you? When the engagement picture gets posted,
Yeah.
are the nails fresh?
A lot of
9
that
times
is
out of 10 they
passing it
are.
on. You'll be like, go and get your nails done.
Is it?
Yeah.
But that would give the game away.
No. Sometimes you drip feed it. So like with one of my friends, I told her about 4 times over a year to go and get her nails done.
Was that
What-
is that not gaslighting?
It was planned. It was planned.
Okay.
Would you not? Why did you know?
I helped pick the ring.
Right.
I know her better than him.
Is that normal?
What, to do that?
Yeah.
I've heard of people like asking the girlfriend's friends for advice and family on what
Yeah,
to do.
it's a nice thing. It's not a sinister thing.
Okay.
Do you think you should have done that?
No, I took a shortcut to that. I just bought the stone and then
Oh
got her to design it
Yeah.
because I dare not enter that field.
no. It's like when you ever discuss like interior design with your partner,
Oh yeah.
and she's like,
Fuck off.
"That's the ugliest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life."
Yeah, I just sand floors and build walls. That's what I do.
I am man.
And tend to the farm.
Yeah, and grow kale. But yeah, I can't. So I came into work on Monday, and my Mac didn't recognise my fingerprint because it was scarred by
Jesus.
sandpaper. If I venture and say, perhaps the living room should be sage green. No.
What colour is the living room going to be?
I'll let you know when she's decided.
My uncle was doing up his house with his wife, and the one thing he was in charge of was deciding which light switch corresponded to which section of lights in the living room, and he did it wrong. Like when the wiring was done, he was like, "Darling, look, my pet project," and he flicked one on, and she's like, "No, that doesn't make any sense. The middle should be windows."
Window lighting.
I can't remember.
I don't think you need a light on a window.
No, but as in like,
I think the
Sorry,
window
that was-
actually provides the light.
No. In Scotland, if you press the middle switch,
Yeah.
then a wall just becomes windows.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's like their equivalent of the bean thing.
Right.
that's why they abolished tuition fees.
And they're also malnourished because they don't have windows, it's just concrete, and
And-
they press the middle switch.
Yeah,
Right.
and we also have vitamin D deficiency.
You should do something about that.
I'd take vitamin D supplements.
Do you?
Mhm.
And a lot of protein.
Yeah, try to. There's something about like if you grew up in the west of Scotland, you are like there's no way for you to get a sufficient amount of vitamin D.
Even if you spent every waking minute outside, right?
Yeah,
You still
yeah,
can't.
you still can't like, which seems biologically mental.
I read something absolutely insane, an insane tweet the other day that basically said if you get burnt in your home country, that proves you're not indigenous. And I was thinking like this is going to be a real hard thing to accept in Glasgow, because all of them are getting burnt in the winter.
Yeah, it's sunny. It's hot. People always laugh at me in London, which is bizarre, that when I put on like Factor 50 sun cream, as if we don't have the same skin tone, as if we aren't culturally homogenous.
Me and you.
Not you. Oh, you're of Italian heritage,
Mm.
but fucking this guy, we're
This
very
guy.
similar.
I'm half Australian, bud.
So, is your mother one of the original peoples of Australia?
No.
So I imagine we have quite similar ethnic background.
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I would not necessarily not like to think that.
I'm whenever we take a picture, the three of us, I definitely don't like standing next to you. I look orange. Like yeah. You go quite light in the winter. Yeah.
Hmm.
I get very red hands in the winter as well.
Maybe I should get on the San Moritz.
We all should. They just
What would happen if you got on a sunbed? Do you think you'd come out like a toasty?
Raisin.
Toasty. I just go like slightly paler milk. Would
Yeah?
be like the color of my skin.
Like
something like that.
sour milk.
Yeah.
He goes whole milk.
Yogurt.
From skimmed, he goes
Oat
to
milk.
full fat.
Oat
gold
milk is
top.
slightly like a slightly browner.
Nuttier. Oat milk is slightly nuttier. Is that
Yep.
what you were gonna say?
Yep.
Should we talk about PMQs?
Yes. And what a fucking shithole Stockton is.
Well, there you are.
Finally, someone said it. I've been dying to.
Ed's going to vote Tory for the second time.
Oh, when was the first time? 2017, let's say.
Because James Cleverly. Well, we don't know it's James Cleverly. Everyone's saying it's James Cleverly, but listening to the clip, I can tell you who it was.
I'm telling you that is James Cleverly.
I'm cynical that it's James Cleverly.
Really?
I don't think it sounds like him at all, to be honest with you.
I think it sounds exactly like him.
Should we play the clip?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Why are 34% of children in my constituency living in poverty?
Prime Minister.
Listeners, if you maybe crank up the volume a little bit and listen to it again, you might be able to hear that as the question draws to its conclusion of why are 34% of children in my constituency living in poverty, someone in the background says, because it's a shithole.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Not great optics, is it? Especially, it's quite inappropriate given the question.
Yeah.
And inappropriate to say in an area with lots of microphones and cameras.
Yeah, but it's like that time when Streeting did Corbyn.
Oh, yeah, what do you
When
say?
Corbyn was like saying something, was asking something, and Streeting was on the front going like, PC now.
Yeah. What was that? He said it multiple
Yeah,
times.
he was like, oh, here we go, he's seen
Yeah.
People forget, they just forget that they're being recorded and that they're on camera.
That's literally us doing this podcast.
Yeah, I suppose. We've said worse. We've edited out a lot worse in this episode. I forgot about my banned word list.
The reason people watching on YouTube, there's just loads of jump cuts.
Every time Ed speaks, it's like 16 shots.
What do you mean I can't say? And cut it
I
there.
think
Oh.
the...
Yeah, it was inappropriate given the nature of the question as well.
It's inappropriate, whatever the question is. You can't,
Especially,
you
like,
can't
you know,
be
you-
fucking in that.
but
No,
you-
you can about Milton Keynes. That's the only time you can do that. When that guy stood up and goes, "Thank you so much to the King for making Milton Keynes a city," if anyone shouted out, "shithole," I'd go, promote him.
That's our next Prime Minister. That is the moment Rishi Sunak became Prime Minister.
Yeah. Also, 34% of children living in poverty, not a very high percentage. You know, the TUC estimate that there's 1.5 million people who are in work who are in poverty at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
1.5 million people. How many? I swear the Joseph Rowntree Foundation has put out how many children living in poverty, and it's multiple millions, isn't it? So to only have 34% of your children, if you compare that probably to the national average, not so bad. Sit back down. Someone else stand up. Who's got a better figure? Who's got it worse?
I don't know, I think more than a third of the children in one area living in poverty is quite a lot.
A hell of a lot of people in this country are living in poverty. But the point,
yeah.
the point that I am making is, I would have thought it would have been a lot worse than that, and
Right.
I'm not sure about his figures. So I'm questioning.
Is that the analysis?
I'm gonna push back on Ava's assessment of this interaction. Do you know you've done the Jeremy Huntification of that? You've been like, well, it could be worse. I think.
And also, Milton Keynes is a shithole. Cancel me.
They should be grateful that it's not 35%.
I did do something earlier where we were talking about ULEZ, and the other person goes, "Oh, well, if you look at the South Circular, it's absolutely fine there, air quality." And I was like, "Well, that is the first place that someone died of air pollution." And they were like, "It's only one child." No, that's not good.
So take your empathy for ULEZ and project it onto the children living in poverty in Stockton.
Yeah, more poverty now. No, more accurate figures is what I'm saying.
Any other questions that took your fancy during PMQs?
I'm trying to think.
I like Kistama's question on mental health. I thought that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm glad that in recent years, real progress has been made in tackling the stigma surrounding mental health. But the fact remains that the suicide rate for 15 to 19-year-olds has doubled since 2010. And suicide is now the biggest killer of men under 45. And they're not just statistics. Every single one is a tragic loss to families and to friends. Politics has the ability to turn this around. It means tough choices. If we were to scrap tax loopholes, we could have thousands more staff, more support in our schools, more support in our communities. That would allow us to treat patients on time, getting them back to work, back to their families, and crucially, giving them their lives back. This is about mental health. That's Labour's plan. Will he back it?
What would your takeaway from that?
Well, I just think that it's good. It's getting airtime.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I think it's an important issue, and I think I'm glad that he raised it.
Mm. This whole thing about the NHS was quite good.
That was smart, actually. That connection between the people on the waiting list and a stagnant economy. I thought that was quite clever. How can a builder can't contribute? The economy can't grow. Can't contribute to the economy if a builder's waiting for a year to have an operation. So that was a smart conjunction of two issues.
Yeah.
There was a story in the paper this week, and I forget the number of people. I think it was like 1 in 20 people are missing work waiting for a GP appointment.
Really?
It's quite a lot of people.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
You said 1 in 20 is a lot, and you also said 34% was not a lot.
I was saying,
Thank you, Ed, for imposing some intellectual honesty on the podcast.
Last year, the Conservatives moved the parameters of what was defined as poverty, and the Joseph Rowntree Foundation were really angry about that. They were like, you can't just move the figures and say there are less children in poverty. And so what I'm asking is Alex Cunningham going off the new Conservative parameters rather than what is typically defined as poverty?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand your hesitation now.
Thank you.
There is a place I want to send one of you to that. Where is it? There's a place in the country where 20% of the population is on a waiting list.
Jesus. For
NHS waiting list, yeah.
wow, that's a lot.
Be a good piece, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it probably would.
Who wants it?
Who do you
Fight.
Who do you think it would suit more?
Who do you think
your
would do it
sense,
better?
No, as in, I think it's an interest.
I think.
Even I do like different styles of video.
Yeah. And I think a form
That's Ed, that's way of saying like
I don't want it.
Ed does good. I do good videos.
No, it's not. I think as in there's definite. We all have different styles of making videos and editing and stuff.
I think.
Which adds to the rich tapestry of content on the PoliticsJOE YouTube channel.
Very good, Ed. Bonus for you.
Thank you.
I think this is not the appropriate forum to have that conversation.
Okay, that's fair. Comment who you think would do it.
Mm.
You know, after when the video you edited from Cenotaph Day, my girlfriend texted me and asked if I'd edited it, and I said no, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't think so." She could recognise the different nuances of editing.
You do have a very specific style of editing, actually.
Do I?
Yeah.
I'm an auteur when it comes to Fox Pops.
Yeah, no, you're quite magnificent with your editing skills.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind.
I like to approach it with, how quickly can I get this done?
Ed's a perfectionist.
Yeah. No, I like the making of the content.
Editing, less fun than the reporting.
So exhausting because, like, I'm just like, guys, I just think this is so beneath me. No, that's not true. And it's also not true that I don't like editing. I'm just really not very good at it.
That's also not true.
No, it is. And that's fine.
Is that it for PMQ? Should we talk about the sphere?
Yeah, sphere.
The sphere is displeased, isn't it?
You have angered the sphere.
The sphere is raging.
We're going to realize the sphere is cognizant and inhabited by a malignant spirit. It's just going to appear in Stratford and rain terror down on Cannes, London.
So, I was led to believe that we might have an argument about this on the podcast, Ava, but it sounds like you've changed your opinion on it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have always been very anti-sphere. And
I'm going to get receipts. Sorry.
Yesterday we were sitting in the office. Yesterday, was it? Or the day before? Bizarrely, I'm sitting next to Ed, and Ed is just going on and on about what a beautiful structure the sphere was and how he would die to live next to it.
Yep.
And open his curtains and have a big advertising ball looking at him in the eyes.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's good to have a ginormous advertising billboard that you can advertise to about 1 million people on. I think that's gauche. I think it's a perfect distillation of our modern materialist consumerist culture. It sickens me. Number two, why not just build like 5,000 flats.
No, that's where I get annoyed.
Oh, okay.
You're going to get the argument you wanted.
Can I read Ava's take
Please.
from the other day?
I like you being the arbiter of honesty on this
Someone
episode.
has to. The Olympic Park was built to host people. Get some curtains and let the area host. Which is in response to the complaint of light pollution from the fucking huge sphere, huge LED screen outside people's homes. Get some curtains.
I hadn't slept that day.
Can you imagine looking out your window and it just being advertising?
Can I just say, I do. So, yes, I can.
Yeah.
But I like that.
What's your argument for it?
No. Hang on. Let's just go back to your point there about... Can you just say that again, just so it can piss me off again?
You could build several thousand flats there
No.
instead of that concert venue.
Get to fuck, because it's not sphere or social housing, all right? It's not Sophie's choice between sphere
Wow.
or
It's
social
also not
housing.
Sophie's choice because it's an easy choice if that was the choice.
Yeah, obviously.
Sophie's
Like,
choice is a difficult choice.
Sophie's choice
Like-
in any way.
Hypothetically,
I agree. It's not Sophie's choice.
That's like if Sophie was choosing between one child and like a crisp packet or something like that. Oh, that was fucking easy.
What's it?
That's such a different film.
that's the argument I'm trying to make, is that all of the commentary straight away was, we should be building social housing, ban the sphere, build housing. Yes, that is a really obvious take. Well done. You have made the most simplistic observation possible on this site. However, that was coming in through private money to build the sphere, right? And so private developers were going to build it.
Madison Square Garden.
In Newham Council, there is no money to build social housing. It's got one of the highest, they're spending something like £10 million a year putting people up in hotels and putting people up in temporary accommodation because there physically isn't enough social housing for the council to accommodate for.
Sounds like building some
Right?
social housing. That would be a pretty good
Yeah,
idea.
it would be, but you can't get developers to build social housing. You can't get a private company to do it because they're not charities and they make no money off of it. They only want to build luxury apartments. Ergo, there needs to be government intervention where they give the council money to build the social housing.
Correct.
And that's not happening right now.
But it could and it should.
So that's...
Which is exactly my argument.
Yeah, and I am with you on that. But the campaign is to build social housing. It's got nothing to do with the sphere. It's not either or.
Surely the sphere occupies space that could be used for
Correct.
social housing.
Correct.
Right, on that point.
Simply
On-
live in the sphere.
On that point, yes, I agree with you. The problem is private land, yeah? Big private developer will pay market price for private land. There is no money in the social sector to buy private land to build social houses. That's the point.
Compulsory purchase order, government money, either in grant, stipend, or just capital investment. Give it all to the council, buy the land, build 5,000 flats.
But they're not doing that right now.
Yeah, but
You're I'm going to fucking say it. It was student politics what was going on Monday.
Oh.
Because it's an obvious
Wow.
take. It's an obvious take. Obviously,
it's obvious
we
because
would
it's
like
so fucking simple.
no, because we all want that.
We all want that, so why don't we do it? It's a failure of political imagination to imagine to say it's not possible. Let's have the politics of the possible.
Yeah, maybe.
Dream big. Shoot
Yeah.
for the moon so if you fall you land on the clouds, baby.
What do we think about it as a cultural venue? As an attraction?
I mean, we've already fucked it with the Millennium Dome, haven't we? We've already got...
We got rid of the best thing to happen to this country.
No, we turned that into a concert venue.
But it's not like in London. In
Olympic
London, there
Park.
are so many big venues for
Wembley.
art. Yeah, O2.
It is kind of different, isn't it?
Sphere.
Yeah, but like
You watch the videos from inside.
Yeah, it looks-
We
it
also
looks
settled-
quality.
It does, and we also settled on. So what the problem that the council had with it, alongside the capacity, the big issue was that it was going to be a big light-up advertising ball. If they could have found a way to make it not advertising ball on the outside, it's just normal building, then sphere okay. But it was the fact that it was lit up, that was the problem. That goes back to your argument about building more housing. Yeah, you're okay with it now. You're all right with the sphere because there's no
What?
light pollution. Well, what about the social housing, Ollie? Build sphere, no social
I
housing.
I didn't say that.
I don't actually know what I just said. I
You're inhabited
I
by
wrote
the
some
sphere.
wrote some mental text in like the girl group chat on Monday. They were like, I literally like blocked someone because they were. Why did you block her? I was like, she would not shut up about the fucking sphere, and her points were stupid. When she said we should build housing, not the sphere, I blocked her. That take is obvious and stupid. I will not engage with her further.
It's me. I'm the girly in
Yeah.
the group chat that Ava's blocked.
That is. I don't think that's the most rational thing you've ever done.
No, but yeah, and it was funny because like the way I punctuated it, I read it back and it looked like Andrew Tate had written it.
So anyway, you've chatted to this councillor.
Yeah.
So shall we listen to the interview? Some of it? Should we listen to some of the
Do you
interview?
think it's getting too long? Should we just tell them to go and listen to it on the PoliticsJOE website?
Yeah, okay.
Website.
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah. Go to the PoliticsJOE YouTube.
Oh no, I'll give
to
you a snippet.
a little taste.
Hello, how are we?
I'm good. I'm still sort of processing what's happened this week. It's been a big moment, but yeah, very, very good.
Well, let's explain what has happened this week.
Yeah.
So there was a big news story this week that the Sphere, which was going to be a rather large, rather unsightly building, had a planning application in Stratford, and it was going to be possibly a music culture venue, and that now is not going to go ahead.
Yeah.
I said that completely wrong. Can I just do that? That's now not going to go ahead. And can you talk me through why it isn't?
Yeah, so it's just on the process side of it, the Mayor of London has rejected it, and that's a normal part of the process that's referred to him for major applications like this. But the reasons are primarily because although it's a concert venue, one of the major aspects of this is that it's a orb covered in LED screens, advertising screens primarily. And there's one already built in Las Vegas. People might have seen it at the F1, I think, earlier this weekend or over the weekend.
Those crazy, it had a sort of emoji with eyes that was following cars driving around.
Yeah, so they're very clever using it for opportunities like that. But the reason why they want it is for advertising. The Sphere would have actually been visible from Stratford Station, like from the platforms. So just an incredible number of people to get adverts in front of. And it's fairly obvious, but Stratford isn't Las Vegas, right? Where the Sphere was due to be put was in between two major housing developments, very, very close to them, that would have led to blackout blinds in those developments. So you can understand why they're opposed to it. And it's also a big light pollution problem. There's a biodiversity problem, and that's why the Environment Committee recommended that Sadiq Khan reject it. So that was led by Green Party Assembly member Zach Polanski at the time, and he said, when this comes to you, Sadiq, you should reject it, and he's listened, which is great because the Sphere is so egregious that until now, every single representative of the area at every single level, so that's the MPs, the Assembly members, the councillors, and the Mayor of Newham, we were all opposed to it, and that's different political parties as well. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't happen without really strong feeling among the community.
Who wanted it to be built?
Well, a small number of people who live in the area who, on the face of it, think it's cool. Mostly people who, don't live anywhere near the Sphere, sort of see it on social media and think, oh, that looks cool, but doesn't really think too much about the actual impacts on the community. And it's not just the light pollution. There's concerns about Stratford Station. So Stratford Station is already a station that's at capacity. Anyone who's been there through rush hour knows that it feels quite dangerous at times. I've been on the platforms and genuinely worried about being pushed onto the tracks. And you've already got the O2, at North Greenwich on the Jubilee line. So there was a real concern about how you were going to get people in and out of the area. And it turns out that they were largely planning to just take over Westfield, Stratford International car parks. I think there's actually a really crazy statistic. So for a stadium of 20,000 people, do you know how many cycle hangars they were planning? Cycle parking spots? Less than 100.
Okay.
For over 20,000 people.
Do a lot of people cycle to concerts?
Well, I think more people, more people should, but I think that is just quite an egregiously low number, and I believe is actually against the London plan. And people talk about all the time about, politicians shouldn't be making decisions. We should have a rules-based system where the rules are really, really clear. If you pass the rules, you think you get to build the thing. Well, this didn't pass the rules. This wasn't an intervention by the mayor. This was a recommendation by civil servants saying that this doesn't meet the London plan. And that's what we've been saying all along, but the unelected members on the planning committee overruled the councillors and sent it on to the mayor. And actually, as councillors, when we're involved in planning, we get quite a lot of warnings about, if you make the wrong decision, this could be appealed and it could cost the council a lot of money. In this case, it's the unelected people that have spent untold amounts of public money trying to push this through when it was on the face of it against planning rules.
Talk me through a couple of them. So it's ability to have the facilities that it would need to serve it. So you've got a problem with the station, you've got a problem with the cycle provisions.
Yeah.
What else is it? Car parking?
So, the disabled car parking is another point. They didn't have a feasible plan, in my view, for disabled blue badge parking.
Right.
At some point, they were talking about shuttle buses from Stratford International car park. But then at the planning meeting for that, people were saying, there was actually a disabled member on the committee saying, Stratford International car park is not accessible. And so at sort of every single level, it doesn't take a lot of it's quite easy to see that it's not suitable.
It's also interesting just in terms of representation, right? Because would that have potentially come up in that planning meeting unless someone who actually has to experience it?
Exactly. And to be honest, there has been an incredible campaign from the Stop the MSG Sphere campaign, who has brought in people from all sorts of backgrounds in, raised the awareness about the issue, got people on side, and we wouldn't be here without that campaign today. And without that campaign, those sorts of people might not have been in the room. I've been really inspired watching them attend meeting after meeting after meeting, raising the same points that the mayor's made in his report about the sphere being unsuitable. And it's been frustrating. It's felt like there's been this desire to push it through at any cost, and it's fallen, and actually the cost is going to be, we'll find out, but presumably quite large, and I think those people have quite a lot to answer for.
But on the other side of it, there's an argument that bringing in something like the Sphere would attract a lot of people to the area. It would bring in quite a lot of money. The advertising revenue would be, I don't think we'd be able to feasibly count how much that would be, an amount that's way out of my ability to understand. I mean, the opposite argument to that is, should you not have let it go ahead so that you could provide the area with extra cash?
Okay, so let's just think about where it's being built. It's the Olympic Park. That is an area that has had more new developments than probably anywhere else in the country in the last decade and a half. We've got, Sadler's Wells, the BBC, we've got universities, we've got Westfield, we've got the aquatic centre, we've got the velodrome, we've got all of these different attractions, we've got the park itself, we've got Hackney Marshes, we've got all of these different attractions to the area already. And what I've been trying to say to people is, if you're only, as a politician, as a leader of an area, if your only offer to people to bring in investment, to bring in money, is to say, well, you have to put up with this massive advertising billboard the size of Big Ben and the London Eye, then to be honest, I think that you need to do better. There are so many different ways to bring investment in, as the Olympics themselves have shown, right? Than this sphere. And I think the thing for me is, I have been at no point convinced that they actually intend to build a vibrant addition to London's cultural scene, because if they were, they would not have taken on the amount of opposition that the screens on the outside have led to. I'm confident if it weren't for that, despite the other problems that we've mentioned, that this sphere probably would have gone ahead, but it's the screens on the outside, the advertising revenue, that has caused all of these problems for them, and I believe that has ultimately led to it being rejected. So if all you care about is building an addition to London's cultural scene, a vibrant new entertainment space, then you don't need the screens on the outside. And that's sort of been the nail in the coffin for this.
Little taste.
Enjoy. Genius councillor takes down foolish journalist.
Yeah, I did come upstairs and hang my head in shame, didn't I?
It's the first thing you said when you returned to the desk.
What did I say?
He ran rings around me, or something like that.
Yeah, you're like punch drunk from an intellectual argument.
Said the
Coming
second
in like Conor McGregor.
said he opened his mouth and I knew I was wrong.
You had an intellectual black eye.
Yeah.
Should we call it there?
Probably.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Politics Joe podcast. See you on the next one.